Stories That Heal. And I'm also the author of How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from Misguided Love. So basically it's an Overcoming Heartbreak series. And the second book, How to Overcome Heartbreak, Stories That Heal, is basically a combination or a compilation of several stories, including my own, of people who faced relationships, toxic relationships that ended in heartbreak and pain. And thankfully they were able to overcome those situations. So they give their story with the hopes that you yourself or someone you know can also benefit from what helped them. And I do the same. And I give tips on dating healthy and growing spiritually and all that good stuff. So if you know anyone who needs that information, or you yourself need that information, feel free to go on Amazon. Again, the names of the books are How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from Misguided Love, and How to Overcome Heartbreak, Stories That Heal. You can also go to my website, overcomingheartbreak.net. And if you want to learn more about me, you can follow my blog at betterthanwine.net. So if you're tuning in, it's probably because you're interested in the title, 7 Tips for Singles on Valentine's Day. And I'm really excited that that those of you who are on here because I know you all pretty well, and I know we're kind of walking out this season together. So feel free to chime in as I share some tips, because I'm sure you guys have your own experience and tips as well. Thank you for sharing the blog site, Miss Mia. So the first tip I wanted to give you guys was just to remember your worth, to remember that your worth and your relationship or your relationship status is not defined by a gift. Your identity is not defined by your relationship status or a gift. I know on Valentine's Day there's a big hoopla on being in a relationship, and if you're not in a relationship, you can kind of feel less than, you can kind of feel left out. And if you already struggle with, some rejection issues or a breakup, maybe it's a recent breakup, then that could kind of hit you really hard. So I think the first thing that's healthy and helpful is to just remember that this is not a life-defining event. It could be hard, it could be difficult, but don't take it to your core. And I'm speaking about this because I was that type to, take the relationship status to my core for it to be my identity. Thankfully, I've grown and I'm still growing in that area. So number 2, the second tip I want to give you guys is to take the focus off of yourself. And you may remember I shared a little bit about this in the scope that I did around the holiday. Like if you were single around the holiday and you had holiday blues, kind of the same concept. My tip is to focus on someone else, either buy them a gift or do something nice for them. And I'm planning on doing that this Valentine's Day with my roommate. She is a lovely young woman, and I got her a little something special just to let her know that she's not alone and I'm thinking about her on that day. The third tip that I think is really helpful is to just chill off social media. So if it makes you feel some kind of way to see people getting gifts, people going out, kind of doing it up, that may not be healthy for you. It's important that you guard your heart so it's not amplifying any negative feelings you already have. I think for me that's really helpful. But I think what's also helpful is to remember that pictures in social media are just capturing a moment in time. You just never know what's happening before or after that moment took place. And that pertains to anything, not just Valentine's Day or marriages or couples. That's anyone that's posting anything on social media. That is a moment in time. That is not the end all be all. And I think something else that's helpful is to remember that, marriage is difficult, and people will go out of their way to affirm and encourage their spouses on social media to honor them because it is difficult, and they know that, I want to affirm my spouse. This is an opportunity for me to affirm my spouse because it's been rough. So it may not be from the vantage point that you're seeing it as, oh, they have someone, their life is great, blah, blah, blah. It could be like, look, it is rough out here and we really need to affirm one another and honor one another in public You know, so we're choosing social media to do that. So number 4, the 4th tip I want to give you guys is to go out with friends if you don't want to be alone, or you can invite people over. So if you're struggling with, feeling alone and tempted to fall into a pity party, rough out in the street, yes, child, it is. You're tempted to fall into a pity party, dial up somebody, send a text, say, hey, what y'all doing? What's going on? If you just don't want to be alone, that can be really helpful. Number 5, sorry. If you're intentionally alone, remember you are choosing the best thing over that good thing or that toxic thing. And what I mean by that is, and you guys hear me talk a lot about healthy relationships, maybe you're single, but you're single by choice because you don't want to settle for the foolishness. So you could be with someone, you could very well be with a few someones probably this Valentine's Day, but it's not that best thing. It's unhealthy, it's not in alignment with your purpose, it's not edifying to you, it's not building you up. And so you're choosing that better thing, which is to be single, over the foolishness. So that's one that I personally resonate with. And just remember, like, you made this choice. This is not someone did this to you. You made this choice because it was wisdom. And you knew, you were thinking long term that this is going to give you the best outcome for your purpose. So, and number 6, use this as a time of sanctification in your faith. So remember that you're storing up an eternal reward by choosing a healthier option for your life. And this is kind of going hand in hand with number 5, with making a healthier choice to be alone. There will be difficult times of denial and self-sacrifice when you follow Christ, but you're refusing to settle for something temporary, and you're avoiding unnecessary pain as you face the pain of self-denial. And that's something that I know I have to keep remembering, because sometimes you only feel the pain of what you've given up or the pain that you're experiencing. But if you're obedient to God and you're choosing that healthier thing, the pain that you face now is nothing in comparison to the pain that you are avoiding. And I did reference this in my first book, How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from Misguided Love, where I share about my own personal breakup. And I just remember God giving me a word that if I were to pursue that relationship, that I would face unnecessary pain. And I don't know, maybe I referenced it in the second book, but one of those books I referenced it. And I did pursue the relationship, and I did not heed to what God was saying and wisdom was saying. But what I realize now in hindsight is that, it's unnecessary pain. So take comfort in the fact that you're avoiding unnecessary pain, and the pain that you are feeling from self-denial and sacrifice is far less than what you would experience from dealing with someone else's foolishness. Number 7, and I'm glad that Miss Mia Wright is on here. I don't know what that means. Because I want to reference number 7 as being on the offensive and practicing gratefulness. I reference Miss Mia Wright because she does a weekly Periscope on gratefulness, and I really appreciate her heart, because that's definitely an area of struggle for me. It's easy to fall into the negative view that the cup is half empty. And so when you are, renewing your mind and capturing those thoughts, you're building up resilience. You are gaining a better outlook on life that's full of hope and comfort and joy. And it's more in alignment to the way that God views life, as opposed to more of a depressive, negative state, which can easily lead down into a dark place or a depression. So the 7th tip is to be on the offensive, practice gratefulness, be intentional to focus on what is positive in your life and the gifts that you do have. So I just wanted to share with you guys some ways that I have historically celebrated Valentine's Day, and a lot of this was unintentional because I chose to follow God at a very young age and I surrendered to Him. I know that He met me in that. So even when there were, dark times or hard times or difficult times, He would bring people in my life who loved life, who loved to do exciting things, and would help me just kind of join in and cultivate joy when I normally would default to being more, introverted. So the first way I celebrated Valentine's Day was I swapped gifts with my roommates. I remember them getting me some flowers and chocolates and little socks and all that, and that was really cool because I had always associated Valentine's Day with having a relationship before that point, but they kind of introduced to me the idea that it doesn't have to be about having a relationship. It could be about having good people in your life who love you. The second way I remember celebrating Valentine's Day was some guy friends came by and they kind of serenaded me and gave me a rose, and it turns out they did that to all of their female friends. And it was really cool because it was really unexpected. I wasn't even thinking about the day. I think I was doing laundry over somebody's house, and I wasn't thinking about it at all. And okay, y yo conté. But when they came by and they, serenaded me and they affirmed me as their sister, and we got good conversation in, and that was just really cool. I really appreciated their thoughtfulness. The third way I celebrated it was I had girl time. Dude, we are not on that. Okay. I had girl time. We purchased, I don't know if you remember this, Shy. We purchased journals. We went to the store and purchased journals. And it's actually an interesting backstory to that particular day. I was kind of snowed in at my friend's house, and I was in graduate school at the time, and I really needed to do homework. All I cared about was homework, but I couldn't, my car was stuck because of the snow, and I couldn't leave. So I ended up being snowed in with them, and we played like Lauryn Hill all day, and I don't know, we just had really good bonding and sisterhood, and then we went out to eat, and then we bought journals, and it was just a really cool time, and I really had fun with them. I know it was. The fourth way I celebrated Valentine's Day was I had a book release party, and this was in 2015, right after the release of my first book, How to Overcome Heartbreak, Recovering from Misguided Love, and that was a beautiful time because I live in Ohio, and it snowed so bad, but it just goes to show, like, how raw dog Clevelanders are, because we were out in the snow. I remember I ordered these cupcakes for my friend for my party. I drove an hour to get them. I saw all these accidents, but I persevered. I made it back. It was so bad. The roads were bad, but even still, people still came out. I still had a really good group, and I got to share my story. People bought books. We had food. We had a really good time. I got Valentine's Day gifts, so it was like a big thing. So have a Valentine's Day party, invite people over. Another way I celebrated Valentine's was actually having a Valentine's, actually going on a date. And that was really cool and really fun and really refreshing. So if you have that opportunity, go for it. Another way is just going to church, because I think it was on a Sunday last year. And what's really helpful for me is I don't go to a traditional church. My church is more of like a spiritual equipping. So the focus is all about identity and maturing in who you are in Christ. So there was no emphasis on a relationship status. I don't even think Valentine's Day was mentioned. But it was just a focus on purpose and identity. And it was so good to just be in a community and an atmosphere of focusing on what really matters and what's going to last eternally. And I remember taking a cute little picture with my spiritual dad, and I just felt very loved having those people with me. But I also did get some gifts that year too.